I'm Gabby from the Boys and Girls Club Joe R. Lee. I'm the art teacher there, and I'm so excited to be teaching you guys how to draw this super cute little owl today. All you need to get started is a pencil, a pen, a Sharpie, and if you have colored pencils on hand, you're welcome to color in your owl. We're going to go ahead and get started, so go ahead and pick up your pencil, and we're going to find the shapes that make up our owl. So first thing I want you to notice is that our owl has a nice oval head. So I'm going to start with a curved line, and just bring that down on either side to make an oval. Next, the body of our owl, it has kind of a square body, but the edges are more rounded instead of pointy. So right below my oval, I'm going to go ahead and do a square, making sure to give it nice rounded edges instead of pointy edges. There we go. For our tail, I'm going to do 2 lines coming down from that square. And then bring it out like in a triangle type shape. And once again, this triangle is also not pointy, kind of like our square. It's got a nice rounded edge. Just like that. Okay, so we have the beginnings of our owl. Doesn't look like an owl yet. So we're going to start from the top of this shape down and start adding some more details. So next we're going to do the face. So I'm going to take my pencil, divide this oval in half, and then I'm going to do another horizontal line a little lower than halfway. And this is my guidelines for my face. So you want to make these nice light lines because we're going to erase them later. So right in the intersection of these 2 lines is where my nose is going to go. So I'm going to do a teardrop shape for the nose. There we go. And then the next thing I'm going to do is bring down 2 curved lines on either side. And then starting right at the point of that teardrop shape, I'm going to do a curved line and then just connect it to the bottom of those lines on either side. So that's our beak. It's like pointing towards us. From there, we have to add these big, adorable eyes on our owl, and these are going to sit right on top of that horizontal line. You want to make them nice, big eyes so that he looks super cute. And it's okay to go around a couple times with your pencil until you get like a nice circle that looks circular. Doesn't have to be perfect though. Okay. From there we have to add those little pupils. So these are going to be sitting on the inside of the eyes. So our owl's a little cross-eyed. And the reason we make him a little cross-eyed is because if we put those pupils in the middle, it would kind of look like he was staring blankly into space. But by putting them like on the inside like this, it looks like he's staring right at us. So I also want to go ahead and add these little reflection dots. So those are going to go right in between the 2 circles. And I'm going to do a bigger circle and then a smaller circle underneath it. Okay. So as you can see, we have this little shape around the eye. It kind of looks like he's wearing glasses or goggles, but that's actually a part of his fur. So starting right at the nose, I'm going to go ahead and do like a V shape coming up from the nose. And this is right here, that line that I'm making. From here, it's going to go above the oval, like little pieces of fluff sticking out. And then it just comes around. And it connects to the nose. So it's kind of a funny shape. It's okay if yours looks a little different than mine. Every owl is different. But it does feel like he's wearing some funky glasses or some goggles or something like that. Okay. I'm gonna add these little bits of fluff up at the top for these little ear things. There we go. Starting to look a little bit better, starting to come together here. So next I'm gonna add his little wings. So all I'm gonna do is do 2 curved lines. Looks like he's wearing a little jacket. Just like that. Okay, so we gotta add our branch in here so it looks like he's sitting on something. So for right now, my branch is just gonna be a pencil line, and I'm gonna add more width later on with my marker. So there's the beginning of my branch. And we gotta give him some cute little owl toes. So I am going to go ahead and do 3 circles right next to each other for his left foot. And then I'm gonna do 3 circles on this side for his other foot. And from those circles, I'm gonna go ahead and turn those into teardrop shapes. So go ahead and pick up your Sharpie, and we're gonna go ahead and start finalizing our lines. So you wanna add a little fluff up at the face. You can go ahead and go over those little ears. And moving on to the eyes, you can fill in the pupil with black. So go ahead and fill that in. Make sure to go around those reflection lines. Those should stay blank so that it looks like it's a little bit of white reflecting in the owl's eyes. You can go ahead and go around the eyes next. And then you can notice that the top of the eye, it's like a little thicker, that line is. So go ahead and add that little thickness in there, kind of like our owl is wearing some eyeliner. So next, go ahead and go along the bottom of the nose with that black Sharpie, and around the outside of the body and the tail. Now we're going to work on our tree or our branch. So the most important thing to remember about branches or trees is that the base is always thicker, and then the edges of the branch are always skinnier. So you want to add a little extra width to the base of that branch, and then it gets skinnier where those branches kind of break off at the end. Okay, so if you don't have a pen, you're welcome to use a Sharpie to go over the rest of these lines. I flipped over to a pen just because I had one there, and sometimes it's nice to have a contrast, like different kinds of lines in your pictures. So I went over the rest of my lines with pens around my nose, around the rest of those little goggles on the face, and then around my wings. And you can go ahead and go over the toes as well. One thing I forgot was to add the little detail on the wings, so you can go back to your Sharpie and add that little fluffiness to the wings. The most important thing now is to go ahead and grab your eraser, erase all those pencil lines. No one needs to know about all the little lines we had to make in order to get here. Okay, so if you have colored pencils on hand, you're welcome to go ahead and color your owl however you would like. And thank you so much for watching. Hope to see you next time.
Hi, this is Miss Lee, and this is Lee's Lessons. I am one of the fine arts teachers at the Boys and Girls Club of Central Florida. I've done a couple of chalk videos already. And so far what I've talked about is the tools of what we use. I've talked about basic technique of how to fill. And today I'm going to talk about using black and white. Okay, when you are using black, it's a very dark color, and you would think it wouldn't be hard to fill that on the sidewalk. But a lot of times when you put black down all by itself, it isn't dark enough. So what you want to do is you want to pick one of your jewel tones. Jewel tones are the dark, vibrant, more vibrant colors. Okay, so you want to pick a jewel tone first, and whatever is going to be in black, you want to put that down first. So let's pretend that I had drawn a sphere, and then I want to do the background in black. I'm going to go ahead and remember what we talked about in the last video. Anytime that you're doing any fill or you're filling in anything besides doing the outline, like I did with the sphere, you're going to use the side of the chalk. And you're not going to press very hard because we don't need tons and tons of chalk. Now I'm inside today because I live in Florida and it's about 95 degrees outside. So I decided to show you this on a masonite board, which is very similar to the sidewalk. So I've got my fill down that I've done. And then remember, we used the little pool noodles. And in a circular pattern, I'm gonna go over all of my base color. And then I'm going to add my black, okay? So now I'm gonna add my black, and just like I've told you before, snap it in half. Rub that color in using the side of the chalk. Okay, and then what you're gonna do, and unlike the base color, since we're adding the black on there, I'm gonna use a little bit more black. I wanted there to be a little bit more pattern on there. And then I'm going to put my glove on for a couple reasons. It's gonna help my fingertips, but black is a hard color to get off your fingers. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna, again, rub in a circle pattern, okay? And what this is going to do is the black is actually adhering to the blue chalk, and it's gonna make it nice and dark and velvety. Now you can see I've got a couple patches here, but the easy way to do this is to just add a little more chalk and then rub it in a circle pattern. And then you can see how beautiful that works for a black. Now let's go to white. What we would do with white, and of course I don't want to use my the same glove that I used because that would not be a really good idea. Okay, so I'm going to get all that excess chalk off. But when you're doing white, and especially a huge area in white, what you want to do is map it out. So let's say I'm doing a huge cloud in white. Okay, so I'm going to map that out with my white. And what I want you to think about is, let's think that this cloud might be like this big on the sidewalk, really big on the sidewalk. Well, you'd be using a ton of chalk. So guess what we use? We use powder. So all you have to do when you have that mapped out is that put your powder down and rub it in just like you would with the chalk, okay? And of course, if I was working in a bigger area, I would have a little bit more control with this, because you can see how I'm getting some little spraying, but that's okay. I'm gonna go ahead and bring my cloud out, but pretend again that this brown board is the sidewalk, okay? So I've filled that all in with white, and you know that if you have a cloud in the sky, you're gonna have some blue, and it's gonna be showing through on that cloud. If you ever really pay attention, and I will tell you that art is a lot of observation, okay? So then what you can do is you can blend all those colors into your cloud and the background of your cloud, okay? And then if you look at the picture or whatever it is you're using, or even if you're doing plein air, which means you're outside drawing from nature, you can look up at the sky and say, you know what? Right here, that's really, really white. And you can go back over it with your white chalk and you can make those really, really good highlights on there, okay? So, and I will say it works a little bit better, depending on the type of white chalk that you have, you're gonna get a deep, deep color there. But anytime you're doing a huge area like clouds or snow or anything, use baby powder to go ahead and create your base, and then you can go over it in colors, and you're gonna save yourself a lot, because white chalk is something, white and black we use a lot. So you've just learned about how to use white and black chalk when you're doing your sidewalk drawings, and catch me next time when we talk about how to do hair and fur.
Hello, my name is Miss Alana and I am from the Universal branch of the Boys and Girls Club. And for today's fine art activity, we are going to do a painting of clouds. So we're going to learn how to do a gradient color background and learn how to do clouds as well. So let's get started. Okay, so the materials we need for this are a piece of paper. I am using a 11.5 by 8 piece of paper, normal size piece of paper. It's a thicker kind of mixed material paper, which would be fine for putting paint on it. If you have watercolor paint, you can use that, or you can use a canvas if you have one as well. And then we want a cup of clean water to clean our brushes in. And then the type of brushes we're going to use today is, you can use any kind of like larger paintbrush that you have on hand to do the background area. And then you want one like slightly smaller with like a round head on it to do our clouds. And the paints that we're going to use for the sky are going to be a light blue, a medium blue, and a dark blue. So if you only have one type of blue, a way you can make your other colors is by adding white to it, and then you can get the lighter color. Adding blue and white would get the lighter color, and if you need the darker one, then you would just take your blue and you would add black to it. Just a little bit of black too. So those are our background colors, and then for the clouds you're going to need a purple, a gray, and a white. And again, if you don't have gray, what you can do is mix the black and the white together, and then you'll have your own gray. And if you're going to mix your own colors, it would be good to have a paint palette with you. And once again, here's a list of all of the materials I just talked about. Go and grab them, and then we'll get started with our painting. And then another part that's optional is having some painter's tape. You can tape your paper down onto whatever surface area you're working with. I personally like to do that, so then I know I'm not going to move this and accidentally mess up on something. So I am going to tape my piece of paper down onto the board, and then we will get started with painting. Okay, and you can see that I used the tape and I taped my paper down onto my surface, and when I did that, I tried to make an even amount of border over the paper and the tape part, so then when we take it off you have like a little bit of a white border around it. Again, this part is optional. I just like to do it because then my paper doesn't move around. Okay, so now we're going to get started with the painting. You want to have your paints out. We're going to have the light blue, medium blue, and dark blue ready for us to work with. And the first one we're going to use is the light blue, and you're going to put it on our paper with about 1/3 of the area covered in the light blue paint. So this is about 1/3, so I'm just going to fill in the rest of this area with the light blue paint. You don't have to do this like perfect or in any certain way, because we're just coloring in a block of paint, nothing fancy. Okay, so now I have that section done. I'm going to wash my brush so it's nice and clean. And then we are going to go to our next color, the medium blue. And I'm gonna leave some space in between these two, and I'll come back and we'll blend everything together at the end. So I'll just leave that little bit of space going across. And then this will be the same as before, and we will fill in about 1/3 of the paper with this color.
And if you have a bigger paintbrush than what I'm using, this can help fill in your paint area a lot faster than what mine is. But if you don't have anything bigger than this, then that's totally fine. As long as you fill in your background area, it doesn't matter too much about the size of your paintbrush.
Alright, so now that I have those two colors put down, I'm going to blend them together. So I want to wash my brush again and get all of the other color off of it, and then I'm going to go back to the lighter color, and in this area that we didn't have it filled in before, I'm going to go back and start to blend the colors together. And your paint might have already started to dry already. We're using acrylics, so those can dry pretty fast, so you might want to do another layer of the lighter blue and then go back with that medium blue. All I'm doing is going back and forth, left to right, with my paintbrush. And you might want to put a little bit of water on your brush as well if you feel like it's getting really thick and dry. And just keep going back and forth between your colors and blending them until you get a nice gradation that you are satisfied with. Okay, so I am satisfied with this, and now I will start on the next color.
So our next color is going to be the dark blue, and I'm going to get it on my paintbrush, and I'm going to make that line in between our previous color and the current color, and then I'm going to fill in this whole area. If you accidentally start to blend a little bit, that's totally fine. We're going to go back and do that later, but right now we just want to focus on filling in the other third, the final third section of our paper with the dark blue color. And make sure you have a lot of paint on your brush so you can spread it around as much as possible. Okay, so now that I have my darker blue area, we can begin to blend the dark and the medium together. So I am going to grab the medium color first, and I'm going to add some more into this area of space. And I'm just going back and forth again with the medium color to try and blend it into the darker. And as you add it onto your paper, just go back and forth, try to make it blend easily. You can bring more of the darker color further down if you'd like to. So I'm going to grab some of the dark blue and then clean up my corners a little bit to make sure they're very dark in comparison to the rest of our painting. And then just go back and forth a few times, kind of closer to that medium area to make sure everything blends. And now I'm going to wait a little bit and give it some time to dry. And once I see this like shiny area is no longer shiny, that's when I know it is dry and we can go on to our next step.
Okay, so now this has dried and I got some fresh water on here because I don't want to get any of the blue in our next part. So our first part will be using the purple. So I have my purple and I'm going to use that rounder brush that we had before, and I'm going to start from the bottom to the top of our clouds. And really all you're going to do first is draw a line. And then we're just going to do cloud-like shape. And we're going to fill this in. And it doesn't have to be perfectly dark. You can have it kind of lighter and see-through, that's fine. So we have our outline and we have it filled in, but clouds aren't like perfectly straight like that, right? So now we're gonna go back and go around our edge and lightly tap with our brush. And that's gonna give us kind of that more fluffy cloud-like texture we want. And keep adding more paint if you need it as you work along. So that is our first cloud, and now we're going to do another one over here. And this one's more in the center. And you can play with the shapes that you're using. Whenever you're drawing your cloud, you just want to make sure that one part, the bottom, is aligned, and then the others are those lumpy parts. And then go back and we'll round out our edges. If you want, you can kind of trail it off and add another one. And now we're going to do one further up that's a little bit shorter. And that's the shape. And then we fill and then spot. And then on this side, we're going to do another smaller one. just to help fill out our paper. And as we get up here, we're going to add one more in the middle, and it's going to be slightly cut off at the top. Now that we have our clouds done, at this point you can decide if you want to add any of these smaller ones in different areas, and I personally quite like them, so I'm going to add another smallish one down here at the bottom. And of course you can put your clouds wherever you want.
And that is it for the clouds. So I'm just going to let some of these dry up a little bit before we start our next part of the clouds.
So for our next part, we're going to use the gray. If you don't have an actual gray paint, you can mix your own by using black and white. So I'm going to do that to show you. So you want to have it mostly white, and then you'll have your black, and you're just going to add just a little bit because you're still trying out to see what color it is. So then we'll take our brush and we'll mix it together, and you can see just that one little drop of black definitely made it way darker. So that is a good color, that's what we're going for, and then we will use that for the second part of the clouds. So now I have my gray color, and I am going to go over our clouds with the gray, and you just want to dab it on there and follow that outline that we had. These are going to be really fluffy clouds, and they're very colorful. So that is our next layer of the cloud, and then we're just going to keep going along and fill in each one of these. And you want to make sure you have some of that purple coming out from the sides, because that's what helps give us depth and the illusion that this is a nice fluffy cloud. So you can fill it in even if you want to do that first and then go back and do your edges like we did before. Whatever you're more comfortable with. And don't forget, if you did any of these smaller ones, that they get some gray on them too.
So we have one more cloud left up here. I'm going to get some more paint on my brush and fill this part in. And make sure I am doing the entire thing and fluffing out the edges as I go along. I'm going to make it a little bit longer over here. And now I am fully done with all of the clouds, and we can start on the next step.
So now we are going to take our gray that we had, and we're going to add a little bit of the purple to it. So I'm just going to transfer some of this gray onto the other side of my palette, and then I'm going to take a scoop of the purple and blend these in together. So now we have this nice purpley gray color, and we're going to add some more bumps inside of our clouds. So I'm going to take it and I am going to start adding some lumps. So you can follow the outline that we created, or you can make your own lumps. And you can go lighter and lighter as you go out. And now we'll do this for it. Doing this helps give a nice definition and a variety in your colors.
I'm just gonna finish these last few clouds, add some more purple on it, give it those darker areas mixed in with our gray. And that is it for the third part of our clouds. So the next part is going to be the highlight. So go wash your brushes and grab the white paint.
So our next part is with our white color. And we are going to use this on these top areas of our clouds. So we want to pretend that there is a sun in here and that we have one light source for our light. So I'm going to say my sun is over on this top area. So all of these reflections I'm going to do are going to be pointing towards this corner. So I just have a little of the white on my brush, and I'm going to go and lightly tap it on in just a few sections of our cloud. And so this one's going to point upwards because our light source is up there, right? don't want to add a lot of the white, just enough to give a little bit of a highlight. And don't forget those little ones.
And if you wanted to, you could have done your light source coming from a different direction than mine. That's totally up to you. It's part of the fun and the creative aspect of this painting. But just remember, wherever your light source is, that is where these highlights are going to be pointing towards. Alright, so that is it for the clouds. We are done with the highlights and the background, and our final part is to peel it off of our base and then check it out.
So now that this is dry, I am going to peel it off of my board. And then this is our finished painting. It looks really nice. We have some really pretty colors going on within our clouds. You could do this in another color if you wanted. You could have done your clouds just like black and gray, more like a storm cloud, or you could have added blue in it to give a whole blue scene. That's really up to you. It's something that you can do on your own at home, on your own version. But either way, I hope you enjoyed painting this with me, and thank you for joining me.